assimilation of lipids. These are fatty acids and glycerol. Or what are their functions? These lipids and the glycerol, they also provide energy. They also provide energy just like glucose. And for them, they provide even a lot of energy. If you have, let's say, 1 gram of lipid, if you have eaten 1 gram of a fat and 1 gram of a carbohydrate, you get more energy from the fat than the carbohydrate. And so it is designed to provide the energy. Fatty acids and glycerol in absence of glucose can be oxidized to release energy. Fats produce much more energy compared to carbohydrates, considering the same amount of mass. The other function of fats are used for body insulation. They prevent heat loss from the body. They are stored, these fats are stored under the skin. Are you hearing me? I can hear some echo. I'm saying that fats are stored under the skin, and so they are used to prevent the body from cold, prevent loss of heat from the body. So fats, they prevent heat loss from the body, which is an important temperature regulatory mechanism. Lipids are used in the formation of structures, body structures like the cell membranes, the cell membranes of the cells. What happens to the excess fats? The excess fats and glycerol are stored under the skin in areas called the adipose tissue, And it is these fats that it is where these fats can also be picked to provide more energy. The fats can also usually be stored around the body organs. They usually cushion the body organs, so they can be around the body organs. So now that we have looked at the food nutrients, at the assimilation, that is the assimilation. Assimilation, we have said, the use of those food nutrients, and in excess, what happens. And so we have said the carbohydrates, mainly energy. Excess turned into glucose. Proteins, growth and repair of worn-out cells. Excess, deamination, changed into urea. Fats, we have said that they provide energy, they insulate the body. Excess, they are stored under the skin in what we call the adipose tissue. Now, the liver, we have been talking about the liver, the role of the liver in relation to nutrition. It has got a number of functions. This liver carries out very many functions. In some books, you'll find that they say it carries out more than 500 functions. But those ones that are related to nutrition, one, it takes up the raw materials absorbed by the intestines that are used to make all various chemicals in the body needed to function. So the raw materials, we are saying it is the one which, for example, we have said it is the one where glucose is changed into glycogen. It is stored in the liver. It stores many nutrients, many mineral salts. It stores some vitamins, so which are in the body. Two, the liver converts excess glucose from the intestines into glycogen. If this glucose remains in the blood, it brings about problems. This glucose should not remain in blood. If it is excess, it should be changed into glycogen. If it remains in the blood, it causes very many diseases within the body. Once the glycogen is stored, once the glycogen store is full, excess carbohydrate will be converted into fats by the liver cells. Yes, Mr. Bima told us about this, that excess glucose, apart from being converted to glycogen, it can also be converted to fats. So you can eat partial or carbohydrates without even eating a lot of fats, but you keep on growing fat because it is changed into fats. Lipids, the liver, lipids enter liver by and stored. These lipids, before the lipids are stored in the adipose tissue, they must go to the liver and it is broken down. These lipids are broken down, or they can be changed into other forms which can easily be stored within the body. So lipids entering the liver may either be broken down. When they are broken down further, they change into fatty acids and glycerol. Two, they can be modified and stored in the adipose tissue. The other functions of the liver, excess amino acids, it is where deamination takes place. Deamination takes place in the liver, where we say excess amino acids, they are deaminated to form urea. It is this liver that produces bile. Remember the bile that is important for digestion, the duodenum. It is produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder. And the use of bile, remember, it is breaking the lipids into emulsions, into the small droplets, lipid droplets. The liver also detoxifies. It removes harmful substances. It breaks down and secretes many drugs. This liver, once the body is carrying out its processes, one, for example, it forms the hydrogen peroxide. Whenever a body is carrying out its metabolic activities, especially the liver, since we have said it carries out many functions, it forms the toxic substances, waste products. One of them is hydrogen peroxide, and hydrogen peroxide is highly toxic, and therefore it must be converted into substances which are harmless. For example, that hydrogen peroxide is converted into water and oxygen. And so this liver has got an enzyme called catalase, which carries out that function of breaking down hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. And the liver also is the one which removes the urea, which is toxic to the body. That is a waste product. Waste products are toxic substances produced during body reactions, during metabolism. And so urea is one of them. So they are removed by the liver so that they do not destroy the body structures. The other function of the liver, storage of minerals. The liver stores iron, potassium, copper, zinc. It also stores some vitamins. For example, it stores a lot of, it stores the vitamins that are used once there is no vitamins in the body. If you lack vitamin, you take food without vitamins, then the one which is stored in the liver can be used later for body function. So those are the functions of the liver that are related to nutrition. However, there are other functions. The liver has got many other functions, as we have said. I think we should move into questions. If there are some, we can take up some questions if there are, or even if there are those in the chat. I think we need to.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
There is a question here on my chat box.
Yes, please.
One is, what is adipose tissue?
Okay, what are adipose tissue? These are tissues. These are tissues found under the skin. I don't know if they have slaughtered any, even if it is chicken or a goat or a cow, and they see a lot of fats in the under the skin. That's one part of the adipose tissue, a collection of
Okay.
all those fat areas. Mhm.
Okay. Then there is another interesting one. When you are pregnant and you crave for food, even when you are full, does this mean that that is what the baby's body desires?
The body, once you are pregnant, usually there is usually loss of blood. There is usually loss of blood. The blood it is used, so there is little blood in the womb of the mother, and so usually they crave for some foods. Some even crave for soil which has got iron, a certain type of soil, and you find it taking. It's because of lack of certain food nutrients that make them crave for that type of food. Any other answer would you?
Okay. Okay, one last one. One last one in my
Mm.
chat box. How does farting work?
Sorry, how does?
Farting. I hope you get this.
Okay, farting. Okay. How does it?
How does it
How
work?
does it?
Yes.
How does it work? Farting. Farting is
I'll
a
be
bit
more
different.
Sorry?
Talk with that one. You know, that one is the key for people to understand what is farting and how does it. Okay, maybe I can phrase how does it happen.
Farting. Maybe it's a first of the hand. My little understanding is that during the process of digestion, there are a number of products that may be formed. And as much as we didn't talk about the gases, they actually are part of this. For example, if you look at the digestion of proteins, so once these gases are formed within the stomach, then they must be released because they are going to occupy space. And when they occupy space, then it means they are going to that is going to result into increase the pressure within. So that pressure must be released. And one way of releasing that is to allow this gas to either pass through the mouth or change the sodium of the alimentary canal, which commonly is we are referring to here as what? Mr. Hamilton, how did you call it?
It is just passing out the gas. Passing out
Yes.
the gas through the anus.
So, but remember that the gas can be passed through the mouth or through the anus.
Yes.
Even yes, through the mouth or through the anus. It is about gas formed during that process. Some fermentation takes place also. Sometimes the fermentation can take place, especially when you take food that has got some bacteria and it results into the formation of carbon dioxide. Fermentation results into the formation of carbon dioxide. And as you have said, gas is formed. As gas is formed, then the pressure increases in the body, and therefore it must be passed out. We can do more research. They can go to Google how gases are formed in the body and how it is passed out. I don't know whether when they put their fat, whether fat will bring it out.
So what I wanted to say.
Yes, please.
What I wanted to say is that I know people mistake that farting to be carbon dioxide. So it has nothing to do with carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide you breathe out from the nostrils or through the mouth. So it is quite different actually.
Majorly, could it be ammonia? all gases that are formed. Once
Yes,
they are,
exactly.
they need to do with
Yes.
ammonia that is formed. Okay. I think we can stop at this point unless there is a burning question. Anyone?
We still have hands up. Maybe we can pick them if the questions in the chat room are over.
Okay, about two, because I can see time
Daniela
is
Akelo. I've asked you to unmute yourself and then you ask your question, please. Akelo.
Teacher, so in the ileum, one of the adaptations is that it has thick capillaries and the like. So in the event that
Sorry, thick capillaries?
That it has a dense capillary line of so network. So
many of them.
Those are two different things. Lining and the numbers of the capillaries, those are two different things. There are very many capillaries. The lining of the capillaries is thin. I don't know which one you want to pick.
The density of the capillary. So if one of them in the network gets an issue, is it life-threatening or it disorganizes the digestion in the ileum?
If one of them gets affected, there is no problem. It is just like when you cut yourself and you start bleeding, you have cut a capillary. The capillaries are very many. One of them getting an issue will not be a problem. Other capillaries will work. But of course, you will feel some discomfort, but it will not hinder digestion. And another question?
Okay. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, you're welcome.
Dav, Tangaza. I've asked you to unmute yourself. Dav. Tangaza.
You can unmute in the next one.
Teacher, it's okay. I had forgotten my hand up. You had already answered my question. Thank you.
And then Paula. Kazina.
Excuse me, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We can hear you.
So I was asking about the hydrogen peroxide formed. You said it was formed, right?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So you said the hydrogen peroxide is toxic. So but then how come a lot of times when they're treating animals and animals have like deep wounds that are infected, they flush their wounds with hydrogen peroxide, and yet you're saying it's toxic?
Animals, I'm not sure.
I didn't get to the last part of the question. How can I kindly repeat?
You said hydrogen peroxide is toxic, but how come when animals have wounds that are infected and deep, they flush them with hydrogen peroxide?
Good enough. Even if you get a cut, that part of the cut can also be flushed with the hydrogen peroxide. The idea behind is hydrogen peroxide is corrosive. It has a burning sensation. So when there is a cut end, it means it can easily expose your body or the body of the organism to infection. So one way of preventing that is to cause the exposed surfaces to be hardened or to be killed, so that you don't have entry of infection of germs into the body. So the idea is to, in a way, kill the cells that are found on the surface, so that it forms a dead layer which can prevent entry of germs into the body.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So another question?
So members, I think we need to wrap up because we need to prepare for the next session.
Okay, we shall pick just one last from Enzo. From first you to unmute yourself. You can raise your question.
You said 80% of our diet contributes to our body. So I'm asking, if someone is small, but yet they eat the right diet, and yet they still weigh like they are heavy in weight, what causes that?
80% of our bodies. We have different mechanisms. There are those ones when they eat food, they burn it very fast. The food is broken down to provide the energy. It is burnt. It is a body mechanism, especially in young boys. If you have the young men, the burning of food is very fast. We have other people whose burning is very slow, the breakdown of food, and therefore it is usually converted into fats. Once it remains in the body, it is converted into fats and stored in the body. And so that's one way of how the body gains the mass and the fat. And I think that is the most common, and so it forms much part of our body. I think what you do, send some questions to teachers, specific teachers of your interest, and so that we discuss them next time. Otherwise, the time is not, we have run out of time. Okay. Otherwise, thank you for attending the lesson.
Welcome.
Okay.
Okay.